I'm gonna start. Ladies, gentlemen, junglies, and animals, welcome to the Jungly Podcast. On my right here, I have Malcolm. The Jungly Podcast is a show that aims to celebrate people that have turned left off the motorway. You know, you're driving down the highway, you're doing your job, you're doing the rat race, wherever you came from. Something inspired you to turn left and live an alternative life. Whether that's a life of travel, whether that's a life of chasing your passion, your art, or whether that's a life of starting something of your own, your entrepreneurship side. This podcast aims to actually sit down with people that have done that, have taken that leap of faith or had that moment of clarity, as I like to say, and aims to understand their stories. Because I believe each person that comes here has such a unique tale and unique superpower. You're going to hear all about his, which is his voice. Spoilers. In the show, we hear their stories and we hear about what their time's been like on the road and also what their time's been like at Jungly, so we can share it with you. So guest number one is Malcolm. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. It's good to be here. In your domain, man. In your kingdom, man.
We're right here in Soch, which has been a creative space that, Malcolm, give people a little taste. What have you been doing sitting here at Soch in your spare time? Give them an insight.
Creating magic in this place, man.
He wrote a hit song, yeah. In 1 week, he has written and completed his first song. And a week ago, he had never used Ableton, which is a music production software. Yeah. And it's been incredible to have you and see your growth, man. It's been a magic time.
Divi, man. Divi knows how to...
Hey.
You know what I mean? Divi knows how to sauce it. You know what I mean?
Ah, man, I appreciate you. I'm sure people have a lot of questions about who this superstar on the right is and how he came to be. So I actually want to start by winding back the clock and asking you about your roots. You know, I started the show by saying that a lot of us nomads have started on some kind of cookie cutter lane or doing what kind of society expects of you or even what you expect of yourself. So tell me about where you come from and what your everyday life was like before you decided to turn left and now, you live in India. He's been living in India 7 years. We'll get to that. But where did you come from? What are your roots, man?
I was born in New York. I was raised in New York. My whole family is from New York. What about your grandparents? New York? I'm black. I'm American black. I'm like the Coca-Cola of black. New York is the coolest place on earth. Everybody there is cooler than you.
Yeah, wow.
You know? It's like a constant competition, cool petition or whatever. Everybody's fly, everybody's like clean. Everybody knows, right? Like everybody knows exactly how to dress. It's a lot. And if you don't, you kind of stay in the house. Growing up, always kind of being on the wrong side of cool kind of has had a big effect on me, actually.
Interesting. So even as a young age, did you feel like you belonged in that culture?
No. And it wasn't like blackness. I love blackness. Like it's me, but there's a lot of doing. I was named after Malcolm X, which is as black as you can get. So you have to represent your culture constantly. And then on top of it, you got like New York, and then you got like family, of course. And then you got, your neighborhood. And it was just a lot. I thought I was doing it to a moderate level. I see in retrospect, no, I was really just terrible at it. Right. I've been bad at being normal my whole life. And I've just been kind of like keeping up with it. I hear all the time, everybody feels, different. Everybody does, I think. But I started to, I think from the get-go, I was getting very clear signals that I was...
that you got to exit this motorway.
Yeah. And I didn't start listening to it till 25. So at 25, I had two identities, right? In Chicago, I was Dragonfly, okay? Yeah.
Nice. I'm Rafiki, by the way.
Yeah, right. Really? You had an artist name? No, you didn't do it? I did it. I mean, I did it. So here's what was happening. I had a real name. I had like a flat. I had an apartment and bills and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't want this hobby of mine to possibly jeopardize this that I got going on.
Yeah, right. Cool.
So I was like, let me come up with an alias. And that one came.
That's a sick name.
It was a sick name.
Yeah, nice.
It was nice. Yeah. Years go by, I'm performing, and then around 25, I said, yeah, I'm not doing bosses anymore. I'll work for people, but I won't work for people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I quit, and then I'm full-time touring or whatever, but I'm also on the road, branding for people and stuff.
Okay,
website design.
cool.
Yeah, I had my laptop, and that was it. I was just, how do I make money from nothing?
Digital nomad life before
Yeah.
that term was even there.
Yeah, that's right. I started Airbnb my place, so like my credit wouldn't get screwed up, and
All in America, yeah?
yeah, this is
Cool.
in Chicago, and I was Airbnb my place so much that I wound up like not even living there. So I just kind of was staying in other people's places. They didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of just like hanging out. You know what I mean? and then I was touring also, so like I would be out. You know what I mean?
I like to call this phase of life charismatic couch surfing.
Yeah, charismatic. That's exactly it. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Like I'm just chilling, man. I'm at my place. Yeah,
Hey, breakfast?
Yeah, sure. What's a couple more days? Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, but if you haven't been there, you look like you're a bum. You know
You're a
what I
bum.
mean? If you
Yeah,
haven't been there, it's like,
hey,
man,
it's a
don't
level
be-
up than bum.
When you find all these friends, all these people. How many people are working? They got full-time jobs. They got like
And empty houses.
empty house. They're never home. They got multiple rooms. They live alone.
They need someone to live in
No,
it. Hey.
seriously, I'm keeping the couch warm, keeping the TV warm,
Important.
keeping your food nice and eaten.
Someone's got to pet the cat.
That's right. Somebody had to take care of your dogs. That was me. You know what I mean?
Nice.
You don't
were
pay
adding
me.
value.
That's right. You don't have to pay me. I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? I'm a house sitter.
Yeah, love it.
So, this is so
Mantelpiece.
people who don't know, this sounds so terrible, but that's what was happening. So slowly but surely,
We're speaking to the jungly community. They get it.
slowly but surely, I moved more and more, and then the lease ended.
Oh,
So
shit.
my lease was over. So I paid all my bills, but
Your income stream was
I'm
gone.
like, do I like get another apartment? I don't have enough money for another apartment.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? I had to take all my stuff out of the place. So I kept my stuff in a storage unit. And you know what a storage unit is?
Yeah, of
right?
course.
People in India don't know. It's like a building with like just
With the shutter?
literally a little bunch of shutters, like a bunch of closets of different sizes, like a bunch of garages that you put your stuff that you can't keep in your house in. So I put all my furniture in there, and then I just kind of started living in there.
Living in the storage unit?
Yeah.
No windows.
No windows.
How are the acoustics?
Awful.
Yeah, right.
But it didn't matter. So
You weren't singing then?
Well, how were the lights? Awful. There was no lights. So you close the shutter. Also, it's illegal. So you
What the fuck,
If they figure out you're living in
Malcolm?
there, they'll put you out.
You were
Like,
living in a storage unit.
yeah, I was sneaking in and out like a rodent.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, so you got to come in. The lady comes in the front office at 7 a.m. and she leaves at 6 p.m.
So she shouldn't see you like
Yeah,
going to bed and getting up from bed.
She leaves at 6 p.m. So that means you got to get in before she leaves. Okay?
Yeah.
And then in early enough that she forgets that you're in there. She assumes that you went out through the back door or
course.
something, right? And make sure you're off the camera. So you're in there until
Shit, there's cameras.
Yeah, yes. And then she leaves. You don't hear anything either. So you just got to know the schedule.
It's like a jail you're breaking into.
yeah, straight up. It really was like that. And then you got to get out before she comes in.
Of course.
I'm
So you weren't sleeping the night there.
I was sleeping the night there.
Okay.
I did that for I think almost like 2 years.
2 years rent free.
Rent free, yeah. And then I would tour around. I would do artistry. I was just kind of living like that. At that point, so I no longer have a job. I no longer have a lease. All of my contacts are through poetry.
Okay.
So there was no more Malcolm. That was interesting because at that point, I had two identities. Who I was as Malcolm, regular employee guy or whatever, trying to make it ends meet. And then I had Dragonfly.
Well, you could be free. You could be who you want to be.
Yeah,
You
on
could be an
stage-
artist
On
self.
stage, I was king. I was in full manifestation. I was expressive. I was charismatic. It was like Clark Kent and Superman. It was like Stanley Ipkiss and the Mask. Have you ever seen that movie? with
Yeah,
Jim
yeah,
Carrey?
yeah,
It was
of
like,
course.
it was like that, you know?
A lot of artists, they find solace and they find freedom behind a mask
Yeah.
because it allows them to separate from their day-to-day self that everyone knows them as, and instead
right.
they can be whoever the hell they want to be behind that
You know that
mask.
saying
so.
about artists? An artist is a person who wants to be seen while desperately trying to hide.
To hide. Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, the first transition was letting go of Malcolm to become Dragonfly, and then the next transition was letting go of Dragonfly, becoming Malcolm.
Wow.
And that happened when I came to India.
So you went to Australia, did your tour, you went to America, you did a bunch of tours, and then you found your way to India.
America did a bunch of tours, did Australia. That was the final tour. I saw Orville on this, I was on Facebook. Somebody had done some 60-second video about some place with no money, no politics, and no religion. And I was like, oh, I don't have any religion. That's cool. I don't have any politics. and I ain't got no money. So I was just like, this is like per year. Is this me?
That's so good.
I started, of course, I was like, no, that's crazy. You know, I was like, where is it? India. I went down my list of excuses. I was like, yo, I don't speak the language, dude. Like, the most English speakers on earth live in India. I was like, okay, they speak English. Okay. Yeah, but I don't have no money for that, man. I can't live over there. I don't, you know. It's like, oh, well, your money is actually multiplied by like 80 when you go to India. It's like, oh, okay. Well, what about the ticket? A ticket, like an international ticket. It's like, oh, it's actually like $600. You know, I was like, oh, I don't have any excuses at all. What I see now is that the flow does not take things away.
Right.
The flow gives me space. It gives me the space to do things.
Right.
It doesn't, I lost my job. No, it gave me
room for
to,
new.
For new, exactly. Yeah. I don't lose things, I shed them.
And then you graduate from that identity,
That's
which
right.
is a phrase that Malcolm shared on his first day here, and it just hits so hard. You're not shedding an identity, you're not leaving it behind, you're graduating from it. You've finished that level of school.
That's right.
And you're ready for the next challenge, next mission.
That's right. And each next one is enriched by the old one.
Yeah.
So it's not a failure.
Yeah.
It's just you're building to some larger project.
Cumulatively.
Yeah. These are all elective classes. That's all life is. So, yeah. And then I came to India and just started over. I just started from scratch. I didn't know anybody here.
7 years ago.
Yeah. Man, it snuck up on me. That's 7 years, man. Didn't know anybody here. I came with an aspiration to help. And I saw all these holes in people's abilities, and I was just like, all right,
I can help.
I can help. That's it.
Tell us about Oroville when you got there. You know, 7 years ago, you know that you're not the Malcolm from New York and Chicago. You've kind of evolved. You've graduated from that identity into the spoken word artist, poet. You've started to own your voice. You don't know you can sing yet.
Yeah.
But you get to Oroville 7 years ago. No money, no politics, no religion, so to speak. Obviously, there is still some level of reality over there, right?
Yeah.
But how was, especially your first year, getting set up? How did you find a roof over your head? How did you find a way to survive and belong?
So that was the training of
your years on the road.
My years on the road, yeah. Like, what you're living as is you're kind of like outside of capitalism in a sense. Like, you're outside of a lot of it. Like, when you're walking around, you got nowhere to be. You got no job. You got no money. You know that this restaurant is not for me.
Yep.
You know that this mall is not for me.
Yep.
I'm just
find the soup kitchen.
Yeah, something. Or find somewhere to be.
Find a friend.
Went to the library. Thank God we still do libraries.
Dude, I love libraries, man. They've saved me so many times. Wi-Fi, quiet,
my
AC.
God, AC, quiet. Oh my God, a staff, water, a bathroom, the shower. My God, libraries for the win. But what I was seeing was that on my most depressed days, on the worst days, on those days, every once in a while, at least once a day, I would have a smile.
Nice.
Some joke would come in my head.
Yeah.
Or like something would make me like giggle, or something would be like look nice or smell really nice. Like, so that's when I realized it's like,
wow.
Yeah, the sun will always shine at some point. There's always something. And I just kind of, what it taught me was gratitude, and it taught me abundance. You know, like I was steeped in it. I had to learn how to make something from nothing, not just like make something, but find the something in nothing. And that's what it taught me to connect with people. It taught me to connect with the moment, not to be so concerned about how good it was or how bad it will be or how bad it was or how good it will be. Like, being now and loving the now, loving the breeze. That's all I had. I had the breeze. I had the free weather. I had the beautiful buildings to look at. I had the beautiful people to look at. And I had my health. And I was just like, whoa. And
that's such a good perspective.
I had more days ahead of me, you know, and I had so many days behind me that I could think about. I had friends, I had memories.
All limbs, all four limbs.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, really, you notice them when you're out on the road.
Right, man. Even every day, man, I count my fingers and toes, man. It's
so good.
I lick my teeth. Like, they're all there. Like, so when I came to Oroville, which is, I mean, when you come to Oroville, you don't know what's Oroville and what's not. It's just like India. But I had already trained to be completely a fish out of water. I'm telling you, I'm living in America, not being part of it. Yeah. And so coming here and being 2 feet taller than everybody. And
Can you stand up for a sec? One tall ass guy.
Yeah, I'm slouching a little.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's because you have shoes on. If it weren't for the shoes, I'd be taller.
I got the 2 foot heels here. So just being in my gratitude, being in like I don't know what the hell's going on and I don't know what's going to happen. like surrendering to that flow of just free fall for years. I mean, for years being like that. Like I am not going to try to figure it out. I don't know what's going on, and allowing myself to just help people, whatever I have. I'm good enough to help people. I'm not really good
To be
enough
of service.
to be of service. That was
Nice.
it. And that's what Orville was all about. And I was like, I am with that. In America, you feel this guilt. It's like this privilege guilt.
Okay.
And then you feel just this international guilt also. You feel like this historical guilt. Even black people, they don't talk about it. Because the thing about America also is that everybody feels oppressed. So you get to like, that's how we mitigate that guilt. But really, really, you feel it like you're like, okay, my country blows other countries up. Like, and they pay for it with my taxes. Like, it's like, oh, so you make money and then they take that money and then use it for bombs. So I was like, okay, let me stop working. I'm not doing taxes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Cool. I'm out of the system. But then you pay for something
And that has tax
and
too.
then that tax goes to bombs and shit. I was like, oh, crap.
I need shampoo.
Yeah, man. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna live without money. That's what I did. I just was not doing money. I was doing like bartering. Let me just give my energy, and then life will take care of me. And that's what was happening. That's when abundance came into me. Like, oh, I don't need to do this. Like, money is for when I don't have access. But like, I'm getting access just from my like giving and my love and my energy and my
Money doesn't have to always be the currency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you don't have that other stuff. You
Yeah.
know? Go for it. So whether it's a person, whether it's a moment, whether it's a circumstance, you're gonna like pay to put yourself in that feeling. And if you have a person that's gonna give you that feeling, sometimes you pay for that person, but sometimes you don't have to.
You just hang out with that person,
hang out
or
with that
you
person.
work with that person,
Yeah.
you find some volunteer way to work with that person. Yeah, there's so many other ways.
That's right.
I just want to take a pause and like summarize this takeaway because I think it's really important. I think even Bay, who's the awesome girl in the Junglee community who recommended the idea for this podcast, one of the things she mentioned would be great to have even financial insights about how nomads make it work money-wise in a way that's agnostic of their location. And a lot of people immediately just go for online jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most clear way to go. Like find an online job or freelance your skill and use that to kind of earn money. And hey, that's cool. I do that a little bit. You're doing that and you're entering a world where you're upskilling in that. And those are all valid. But I think you just made some amazing points here that we forget about unique ways that you can just think laterally and realize you don't need to pay rent
Yeah.
if you live in a storage unit or if you live in a van or if you go backpacking and you find a cheap place to stay for a month that's
But
not in
what
a
you're
city.
what you're saying is not just like the thinking, right? You know that.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to avoid the uncertainty,
Like,
the spontaneity that comes from not having a plan. It's scary. We felt that.
But think about like, I don't want to get fired. So because I don't want to lose the money, because I
don't
don't
wanna be
want to stop,
homeless,
because
yeah.
I don't want to stop paying rent, I don't want to be homeless because I have no idea what happens after that. That's rock bottom.
That's how life begins.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why. But the saying I came out of homelessness with was like, "Yo, rock bottom has a basement. Rock bottom has a basement."
And you found your rays of light even in that basement.
Yeah,
You
man.
found things that gave you hope and things that made you smile. But just to kind of summarize, the point that I'm trying to make is to live spontaneously and to live out of the box. It's not always like, I found my hustle, I found a way to make money online, now I can go on my trip. Now I can live that life. It won't always happen that clean. It might happen sometimes to some people. You can be that meticulous and maybe it works out for you. But sometimes you just start, and I find that the road has beautiful ways to take care of you in ways that you could never predict
Seriously.
when you're leaving your front door.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, right.
I'm not trying to say everyone should go and live in a storage unit. What he did was extreme. Things that I've done are extreme, and that's not for everyone. I don't recommend it always. If you have that in you and you want to do it, do it. You can. But what I'm trying to say is just get out of your front door, do something you've never done before, go to a place you've never been before, try and go after that inner voice, and you might just find that the world has a funny way of taking care of you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
What comes, which I didn't have, was trust. I mean, there's faith, like life will be all right, or
Yeah.
whatever. But like, someone gave me a really great quote that said, "Trust is a muscle. Trust is a muscle."
That you have to work out.
Yeah, like for yourself, for other people,
Yeah.
for just life in general, like to be able to trust a stranger to help you, you know what I mean? Or to be able to trust that if you ask for help that they're not going to like look down on you.
Yeah.
To be able to trust your own ideas, your own intuition. Like this is stuff that has to be like proven. It has to be like validated. You have to have the kindness of strangers to like know that people can be kind. And if you get that enough, you're like, okay, I'm looking at the pattern.
Most people are kind.
Yeah. Most people are not trying to screw you. Most people are not evil. You know what I mean? Most people are looking out for themselves, but not every situation is a you and me, you versus me type of thing. People will go out of their way even, you know what I mean, to help. Some people I'm seeing now, even because I was always like, I don't need anything and I'm independent and all this stuff. That was a necessary step for me to go off on my own. I'm on my, I don't need anybody, that brutishness. But what I had to do is I had to melt. I never would have been able to say this when I before this, because it sounds like a cop out. You give people the opportunity to give. Like not everyone will receive, right? Like there's kind of a cultural thing in India, right? Like if you offer somebody some food, they'll be like, no. And it's something you got to force it on them. You know what I mean? So similarly, if I go to somebody's house and they're offering me food, you want me to make you something? So my instinct is like no.
Yeah, don't worry
about it. Don't worry. But they really want to give me something.
Oh, for sure.
It makes them feel good.
Part of the culture.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, for me denying that is actually me like
taking away a pleasure from them.
Yeah. So now we're both not in pleasure. I don't get to receive. If I get over that guilt, you're going through so much trouble just for me. No, like you're going through trouble for yourself. You're going through like not
makes
trouble.
them happy too.
Yeah, you get to put this effort. You get to spread this love. They cultivated this recipe. They want to share it. They want to show it. They want to give it. They want to.
It's a beautiful point. Actually,
them watching me enjoy their food is pleasure. It's like when you give. I guess like when your parents give you like I don't know Christmas gift or something. When they give you a gift, that feeling of like when you're like. That is like like the person that gave it to you is like, you're good at this, right? You're good at giving people exactly what they need and what they ask for before they even ask. You know what I mean? You.
That's my project right now, I feel. Your goal is my goal. My project for the last 2 weeks has been Malcolm. And I'm backing that and owning it. I'm not saying that in a way that Malcolm is someone that really needs a lot of help. I just mean I'm currently obsessed with helping other people's dreams come to life. Yeah. That's what Junglee's all about.
Giving people what they don't even know they need.
And he's been great at receiving it. He sees me running around setting up mic stands for him, speakers for him. He's in the zone. I don't want to break his flow. And he's not like, oh, don't worry, don't worry. He's like, yeah, he's doing what makes him happy. And he knows that I'm currently doing what makes me happy. Yeah. So it's a win-win. It's been a fantastic 2 weeks.
It took so long to learn. That took 20 something years. Like that's abundance. That's the flow.
Yeah.
The flow is when you don't block it. You gotta let things flow. Some things are giving.
Someone's running around for you. Let them run around for you. It's making them happy.
Some things are taking. Some things are giving. Yeah. Like you have to sometimes be a taker, not a stealer. You sometimes have to be a receiver, and so sometimes you have to be a giver. That's the flow. Don't block either one of those. Yeah. When you have the opportunity to give, you give. Give abundantly. Yeah. When you have the opportunity to receive,
take with both arms.
Receive abundantly. Give it fully. You know what I mean?
Like, there's a lot of wisdom in that.
And that's what took me into India. I mean, I opened up more when I came to Oroville because that's what the place was about. It was about.
So you're saying when you go to Oroville, you meet these people. There's these barters happening. That's where you learn.
It was barely barter. It was barely like. It was just even barter wasn't even trick because one of the fundamental things about Indians, it seems, they understand that everything comes back. Yeah. Like, it's like, all right, hey, I don't have change, man. Would you mind? Could I just, it's all right. It'll come back. It'll come back on 2 levels, okay? It'll come back where they will get extra money at some point. Yeah. And it'll come back to me where I will get ripped off. You know? It's like the beauty of it. You just give and give and give, and then other stuff is coming.
Keep the change and the karma.
That's it.
Yeah, we just live it. We just believe karma to the point that it's like,
and it's like validated. It's like when you zoom out of the immediate, when you zoom, hey, you didn't pay me back. Like when you zoom out of that, it's like, oh, life is we're actually not interacting with each other. We're interacting with this other cosmic overmind, this other intelligence, which is kind of just screwing us and helping us and screwing us and helping us. And it's just like, all right.
Yeah, brilliant.
So getting into that flow. Life comes when it comes. Extra life comes when it comes. Death comes when it comes. Yep. Gifts come when they come. Getting screwed comes when it comes, and then it just keeps going. And then every individual is going through that. And when I'm not feeling screwed, when I'm not feeling bad, I can give somebody encouragement. I can give somebody something maybe they already had before. Give it back to them. It can something that they lost. I can give it back. Nice. I can give wisdom that they already learned and just remind them, you know? And then somebody will do the same thing for me.
I feel like you've been doing that a lot with me over the last 2 weeks. We've had some amazing conversations. So you get to Oroville and you kind of like evolve into this next phase that you're describing, which I feel is now getting closer to the version of you that I know. Yeah. Now tell me, like, about the last few years, you've discovered that your voice, you've really singled it down to from poetry to people, and then you've realized your voice is your superpower, and you even realize that you can sing. And a part of that is what's made you come over to Jungly. So tell me a little bit about what you do in your present day in Oroville before we kind of transition to what you hear.
Okay. I made a decision. Everything that I'm going to contribute to this world, I really just want it to be through my voice. I want to sing. I want to speak. I want to hum. I want to chant. I want to breathe. You could have no food for a while. You can have no water for a while. You have no sleep for a while, no shelter, no sunshine. You can't go long without breath, man. Breath is life.
So true.
How can I make my breath, my life energy more?
Nice.
Give it as much as possible.
And that's come in ways of voice acting.
Voice acting, making audiobooks, where I get to voice all the characters. I got all this freaking energy, man. I think I might have ADD.
He's got many people living in his head. I've heard a bunch of these characters, and they
And before it was like a problem. A lot of times what you have is not bad. Like what a person is doing is not bad. It's just inappropriate. There is an appropriate place for everything.
Right.
You know? So like me feeling like I'm schizophrenic my whole life and all these characters and feeling like I'm too much. I just needed to be in a different place than I was. I needed to be like pointed in a different direction.
Yes.
This is like
you just needed a mic and different tracks for each of those
Yeah.
characters, and suddenly you have a show.
seriously, and all
Yeah.
the same thing with the music, right? I had all these layers of music, all these drums and all these like sounds in my head. And then someone like invented a looper, like where I could like boom, 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 boom. Somebody invented all these DAWs, you know, boop, 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 boop. I can like get them all out.
Yes.
Instead of like one at a time. I could be like polyamorous with my voices, you know what I mean? Instead of going one by one, you know?
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, that's what it's been. And then I've also, I mean, it's not just voice. I mean, I've had so many skills. My life has been all of these skills and talents and interests that I have, and one by one, or maybe 2 by 2, 3 by 3, doing them all. In America, we get taught you can be anything you want.
Yeah.
You know, you can be the president, you know, you can be an astronaut, but I'm seeing that you can be everything.
Not anything.
Yes, anything. The span is there, but I can be all of them.
Yeah.
I can be all of them one by one. I can be all of them enough to where I embody it, and then I can move on to another thing. And I can try. I can fail fast. I can be a little bit of an astronaut, a little bit of a president.
I believe, and we've been speaking about this a lot over the last couple of weeks that you've been here, that your identity after you try a bunch of things is a composite of all of the little things you tried.
Cocktail.
I could never be running a nomad village if I came straight from Australia. I would need to have my 1 year in the van, my 2 years of backpacking India, and only now I'm able to understand you. I meet you, I get your way of life. Otherwise, I'd be asking all those questions like, how do you not know where you're going to sleep tomorrow? How do you not plan? And, I'd still be there. So totally get it.
All of the ways that I can give my voice, I've kind of taken that philosophy. Like if it's live, if it's recorded, if it's singing, if it's poetry, I try not to like betray myself, right? I don't really want to do anything political, so to speak, but
Cool. That's fine. You're doing work that's in line with your values and filtering out whatever you don't feel like resonates with you.
not to prostitute my voice. That's what I mean. Like, just it's still mine. And yeah, like owning it and sharing it. You can't give anything you don't have. You know what I mean? And I'm owning it. I'm cultivating it. When I give it to people, it's a lived voice. My voice has old tears in it. My voice has dormant laughs in it. My voice has loss. My voice has aspiration, tenderness, fire. My voice has chaos and meditation in it. It's the most powerful thing I've ever done while being the most natural thing I've ever done. That's exactly what I was saying.
Which is what you started with. Yeah.
I need everything in my life to be as easy as breathing.
Optimize towards that one goal. I love the focus. I love the clarity. I'm now going to share the story of how we met because it's relevant to your voice.
Yeah.
I was in Oroville for a couple of months and I was at the beach and I see this cool ass dude in his sunnies just looking out over the water, dreadlocks, chilling, He's got his friends around, but he was very much on his own as well.
Yeah, I think they might have surrounded me.
And I think I was with a couple of friends that I just made and they went up and had a chat. Then I went up and had a chat. I was like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, yeah, I'm Malcolm. I'm from New York, but I live in Oroville. And first I was like, from the biggest city in the world to this alternative village and community. Wow, what a change. And I was like, so anyway, what are you up to? What are you all about? And he was such a transparent person. He just said, man, I'm just spending all my time trying to figure out how to get my voice into a microphone and out of a pair of headphones nicely. And I was like, bro, that's literally what I do. And that's literally what I help people with. And I'd be so happy to help you and just being my over enthusiastic self. And he was like, yeah, cool, man. we'll take your number. Let's see what happens. And I was like, man, I hope that guy with the dope voice calls me because I really want to help him. Just because that's how I'm strangely wired. And one day he was like, yeah, man, come over. Let's have a sesh. Let's record some stuff and see what we can do. And we just got along like a house on fire. I saw his pad. I saw he put up mattresses around. He had invested in a good mic, computer, headphones. And so we had a sesh and there was definitely just some strong collaborative energy in there. And since then, we chat now and then, and we had another bit of audio sharing, like a lesson of sorts online. And then, you hit me up a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of why you came to Junglee.
I felt I have time to learn.
To learn right now.
Yeah,
right.
so I was
Right.
like, so I might as well also just get the hell out of here, man, and go chill with my homie and see what he's about. Yeah, let me do this. Let me do this for myself.
Yes.
I spent a life thinking that I was like too playful or too like lazy. Turns out I'm an extremely hard worker.
Okay.
And I have trouble intentionally playing. Like when I play, I feel like I'm wasting time.
Oh, wow.
But one of the reasons I'm very good at working is because I know how to make my work into like play. I know how to turn it
Yeah.
into a game.
You
where
have
I, like,
fun working. I've seen that.
I turn it into a game immediately. So as a result, my work becomes my play, and then I actually don't have any play. And when I play, I feel like I'm
Wasting time.
Yeah, this was like, okay, I am going to marry these things. I am going to play. I'm going to come out to a beautiful place. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to be treated, and like raise my living standards like tremendously, And on top of that, educate myself.
Right.
Upgrade. When I come back, I will be refreshed. I will be on the next level. I will be focused. Man, and really, you just upgraded my whole life. I said that every time I see you, I say the same thing. I said it on the phone when we had that session. I said it when you came to my house. Every single time I deal with you, you upgrade my life. You don't know. You don't see every episode. You know what I'm saying?
That's really sweet,
you
man.
You don't see, like, every time you teach me something, it's
Goosebumps.
like, really, man? I went a year with not knowing as much as I know now. And in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, you transformed everything. I understand
so happy to hear that, man.
editing. I understand sound, not just like the program. The program, oh my God. Also just sound and the vibration of things, that experience we had in the freaking temple, man. It was so fucking cool, man.
I've got to plug that. We went to the temple yesterday and it has this beautiful conical roof and concrete walls. Put a speaker in the middle, did a frequency sweep with the sine wave, which basically just sounds like and when you get to a certain frequency, the whole room starts shaking. And it was 120 hertz. And then what we do is we shut all the doors and we were chanting Om. Initially Om at that frequency, and you can feel the sound is just compression and rarefaction of air pressure, meaning air pressure is bunched up and then not as bunched up, and that change is what gives us the perception of sound. So we when you say Om in that room to that frequency, you feel these waves going up and down like bubbles coming through the air is the word we used. And then we started getting weird, like just and it was incredible. It was such a powerful experience. It's something I'm going to add to the Junglee activities page. I call it like Om on steroids or something. I need to give it a name. Power Om meditation or something. And it's less spiritual and airy-fairy. It's more just like, how cool is this feeling? Everything is shaking.
I got it. OMG.
OMG. That's great. But no, thanks for all the kind words, man. And this wasn't meant to be like a Divi appreciation session as much as
man.
I'll take the compliments. Actually, one thing I've learned from him, one day I was like, man, dude, you're ripped. He's like, yeah, I am ripped. I've been working out. And you've been teaching me to just take compliments.
You did the work. I'm
it's
not
something
great at
you do
everything.
very well.
I'm not great at everything. But nah, man, you did all the stuff you did do and it got better. Yeah, man.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Man.
But everything he just said, whether it's audio based or not, is the exact purpose of Junglee. It's about, we have so many holidays. Sometimes you need a brain vacation. You need a holiday where you do nothing, and I get that. And sometimes I feel like it's great to get out of your everyday and go somewhere with a purpose, upskill, like first deeply relax. And we did that for the first couple of days. Well, you had not much chill, but you take a day or so to deeply relax, day or 2 or 3. And from that feeling of deep relaxation, you tap into your finest creativity through nature and thinking and wandering in silence. And then you convert your finest creativity into your finest productivity. At least that's my vision with the place. And Malcolm's really been someone that's lived this end to end. Of course, we had Emily, we had Mali for a short stay. Malcolm is Junglee number 3. But he's just been a ball of fire, getting so much stuff done. and really upskilling to become the best version of himself in this time that he set out for himself. That it's been incredible to watch you grow. I'd love to play your song at the end of this podcast.
That would be sick, yeah.
So that people can hear just how much you've grown. More kidding. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, that'd be sick, man.
Anyway, man, yeah. Any last words that you'd like to share with the Junglee community? That's people from across the world that are watching this before we wrap this one up. You shared a lot of wisdom.
Whatever you're doing is just like the thing. What your real art is your life, man. Make it like you're writing an autobiography in advance. I live like I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back, and what the hell do I want to see?
Yes.
That's it. Do I want to be bored on my deathbed, or do I want to be like giggling? What the hell's wrong with grandpa? You know, like I want to be giggling hysterically about the things that I've done and got away with, you know, and survived and learned from and experimented with and explored. Be impressive to yourself. My goal is to be amazing to amazing people. I want to amaze amazing people, which is more meta. When I become amazing, I want to amaze myself over and over and over again.
That's brilliant, man. That's such a nice way to put it. Thank you so much for being the first full official guest, besides Dad, on the Junglee podcast and sharing your story with such vulnerability, man. There were some things about your story that even I didn't know, because this man's lived 100 lives. To see the character arc, I can't even imagine the place you came from to where you are now, and you know what living that journey would have been like. So yeah, I really appreciate you like just showing up, man, and saying it as it is. It's been such a pleasure to have you, and we can't wait to have you back here. He leaves tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Back to Oroville.
Yeah, man. Next episode, man.
Next episode. Best of luck with the future audiobooks you're going to make, the music that you don't even know you're going to make yet. And can you end this podcast by giving us Jay-Z's line that you told me about the beats? Because I love that line.
I've forgotten better things than you've ever thought of. That was the line.
Forgotten more things than you've ever thought of. What a boss! Cheers, bro!
All right.
Woo! Nice.